My sister claimed my pet parrot was just a bird, until it started repeating her secrets. My sister Emma always said Jasper was just a bird. She'd roll her eyes whenever I talked to him, wave her hand dismissively when I explained how smart African greys are, and make gagging sounds whenever I kissed his little feathered head goodnight. "It's creepy, Helen," she'd say, scrolling through her phone while Jasper preened on my shoulder. "You treat that thing like it's a person. It's just a bird. Just a bird." If only she knew how wrong she was about to be. I got Jasper 3 years ago, right after my divorce finalized. The house felt impossibly quiet without David's constant noise, his terrible singing in the shower, the way he'd slam cabinets when he was looking for something, even his annoying habit of leaving ESPN on at full volume. The silence was suffocating. That's when I saw the ad. African gray parrot needs loving home. Owner moving overseas. Something about it called to me. Maybe it was the loneliness, or maybe it was the way the bird in the photo seemed to be looking directly at the camera with those intelligent dark eyes. Jasper was 4 years old when I brought him home, already talking up a storm. His previous owner, an elderly man named Frank, had taught him an impressive vocabulary. Classical music terms, philosophical quotes, even some basic Spanish. But what struck me most was how he seemed to understand context. He didn't just repeat words. He used them appropriately. "Hello, beautiful," he'd say when I walked into the room each morning, his head tilted at that charming angle birds do. "Coffee time." Emma moved in 6 months later, after her latest boyfriend kicked her out. Again. At 28, she'd burned through more relationships than I could count. Always with the same pattern. She'd fall hard and fast, move in within weeks, then slowly reveal her true nature until they couldn't stand her anymore. "It's just temporary," she promised, hauling her 3rd suitcase up the stairs. "Just until I get back on my feet." That was 18 months ago. From day one, Emma made it clear she thought my relationship with Jasper was weird. She'd make comments about crazy bird ladies, and ask if I was planning to get cats next. When I tried to explain that African greys are incredibly intelligent, with the cognitive abilities of a 5-year-old child, she'd just laugh. "Helen, it's a bird. It doesn't understand anything. It just mimics sounds." But I knew better. Jasper was special. He'd comfort me when I was sad, saying, "It's okay, sweetheart," in the exact tone my grandmother used to use. He'd get excited when I came home from work, dancing on his perch and calling out, "Helen's home. Helen's home." He even learned to identify different people by their footsteps, greeting each family member with personalized phrases. For Mom, "Hello, gorgeous lady." For Dad, "Hey there, big guy." For Emma, usually just a polite hello, if anything at all. Emma claimed she didn't care, but I caught her making faces at him when she thought I wasn't looking. Once, I came home early from work to find her standing in front of his cage, hands on her hips. "I know you understand more than you let on," she was saying, "but you're still just a stupid bird." Jasper had looked at her with what I could only describe as disdain, then deliberately turned his back to her. Even then, I should have known he was listening. Always listening. The first incident happened on a Tuesday morning in March. I was getting ready for work, running late as usual, when Jasper started talking to himself in his cage. This wasn't unusual. He often had little conversations, practicing words and phrases he'd heard. But this time was different. "Marcus is such an idiot," Jasper said in a perfect imitation of Emma's voice. "Can't believe I'm still pretending to love him." I froze, mascara wand halfway to my eyelashes. Marcus was Emma's current boyfriend, a sweet guy who worked at the local auto shop. They'd been dating for 4 months, and he seemed genuinely smitten with her. Emma had introduced him to the family just last week, gushing about how amazing he was. "Jasper," called softly, "what did you say?" He looked at me innocently, head cocked. "Hello, beautiful. Coffee time." I shook my head, figuring I'd misheard. But the seed of doubt was planted. 2 days later it happened again. I was in the kitchen making dinner when Jasper, who had a clear view of the living room from his perch, started talking. "Helen is such a loser," came Emma's voice from his beak. 35 and talking to a bird like it's her boyfriend. Pathetic. This time there was no mistaking it. The inflection, the tone, even the slight lisp Emma had when she was being particularly nasty, it was all there. I set down my knife and walked slowly to the living room. Jasper, where did you hear that? He ruffled his feathers and climbed to a higher perch, avoiding eye contact. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. My hands were shaking. When had Emma said that? And to whom? I thought about all the phone conversations I'd overheard her having, all the time she'd disappear to her room for hours, door closed, voice muffled. Had she been talking about me behind my back this whole time? That evening, Emma came home from her job at the boutique downtown, chattering about her day as usual. She hugged me hello, complimented the smell of dinner, asked about my day with what seemed like genuine interest. The same sister who'd apparently called me a pathetic loser when I wasn't around. How's Marcus? I asked, watching her face carefully. Her smile didn't waver. Oh, he's great. Actually, he wants to take me to that new seafood place this weekend. Isn't that sweet? I nodded, studying her expression for any sign of deception. But Emma had always been a good liar. She'd had years of practice, covering up everything from broken curfews as a teenager to the real reasons her relationships ended. Over the next week, Jasper's revelations continued. Always in Emma's voice. Always when she wasn't home. It was like he was a little feathered recording device, playing back conversations I was never meant to hear. Helen's inheritance from Grandma Rose? She'll never notice if I borrow some. She's too trusting. I need to find a rich guy to marry. This whole working thing is not for me. Mom and Dad like me better anyway. Helen's the weird one. Each revelation hit like a small punch to the gut. I started paying closer attention to Emma's behavior, looking for signs that confirmed what Jasper was telling me. The way she'd suddenly changed the subject when I mentioned my savings account. How she'd gotten a new purse last week despite claiming to be broke. The way she'd smile just a little too widely when our parents called like she was performing. But the worst was yet to come. It was a Saturday morning. Emma had spent the night at Marcus's place, and I was enjoying a rare quiet morning with just Jasper for company. We were sitting on the couch together, him on my shoulder while I read, when he started one of his talking sessions. Helen thinks I actually care about her, Emma's voice said clearly. But I'm just using her until I figure out my next move. Free rent, free food, and she's too stupid to see it. I felt the blood drain from my face. Jasper continued, apparently on a roll. That bird is the only thing she has. When I move out, she'll be completely alone. Probably start hoarding cats or something. She's already halfway to crazy cat lady territory. Then, in a tone so cruel it made my stomach turn. Sometimes I think about what would happen if something happened to that precious bird of hers. She'd probably have a complete breakdown. Might even end up in one of those places where they keep crazy people. I was shaking now, my book forgotten on the floor. Jasper seemed to sense my distress because he nuzzled my cheek gently. It's okay, sweetheart, he said in his own voice, the one he used when he was comforting me. Pretty bird loves Helen. I spent the rest of the morning in shock, trying to process what I'd heard. Was Emma really that cruel? That calculating? The sister I'd opened my home to, shared my food with, included in family gatherings. Was she just using me? But as the day wore on, doubt crept in. What if Jasper was somehow mixing up conversations? What if he was putting together fragments of different phone calls and creating something that sounded like Emma but wasn't actually what she'd said? African Greys are smart, but they're not human. Maybe I was reading too much into it. That doubt lasted exactly until Emma came home that evening. She bounced through the door with her usual energy, arms full of shopping bags from stores I knew she couldn't afford. Helen, you'll never guess what happened. Marcus surprised me with a shopping trip. Isn't he the sweetest? She showed me her haul. A designer handbag, several expensive tops, a pair of boots that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a month. Wow, I said carefully. That's generous of him. I know, right? He said I deserved to be spoiled. She twirled around, showing off one of the new outfits. He's taking me to dinner at that fancy steakhouse tomorrow night. The one with the 2-hour wait list. Something in her tone made me suspicious. How did he manage to get reservations there? Emma's smile flickered for just a moment. Oh, you know Marcus. He has connections. Marcus, who worked at an auto shop and lived in a studio apartment above a pizza place, had connections at the most exclusive restaurant in town? It didn't add up. That night, after Emma went to bed, I sat with Jasper and thought about everything he'd been telling me. The pieces were starting to form a picture I didn't want to see. Jasper, I whispered. Tell me about Emma and Marcus. He looked at me for a long moment, then spoke in Emma's voice. Marcus is so easy to manipulate. I just have to cry a little and he buys me whatever I want. He thinks he's going to marry me. My heart sank. What else? I'm already talking to other guys on dating apps. Found this lawyer who drives a BMW. Marcus is just a placeholder until something better comes along. The hits kept coming. How she'd been lying about working full-time. She'd actually been cutting her hours while telling me she was picking up extra shifts. How she'd been using my credit cards when I left them lying around, making small purchases she thought I wouldn't notice. How she'd been going through my personal papers, looking for information about my financial situation. She's planning something, Jasper said in his own voice, as if he understood the gravity of what he was revealing. Bad things. Bad Emma. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Emma's voice saying those cruel things about me, about my future, about what would happen if something happened to Jasper. The next morning, I made a decision. I needed proof. I set up my old iPhone in the living room, hidden behind some books on the shelf, and left for work as usual. If Emma was having these conversations in my house, I was going to catch her in the act. When I came home that evening, my hands were shaking as I retrieved the phone and scrolled through the recording. Most of it was just silence, with occasional sounds of Emma moving around the house. But at 2:47 p.m., I hit pay dirt. Emma's voice clear as day. Mom? Yeah, it's me. No, Helen's at work. Listen, I need to ask you something. And I need you not to tell Helen we talked. My blood turned to ice. Emma was talking to our mother behind my back? I'm worried about Helen, Emma continued. She's getting really obsessed with that bird. Like unhealthily obsessed. She talks to it constantly and I swear she thinks it talks back to her. No, Mom, I'm serious. Yesterday I caught her having a full conversation with it, asking it questions like it was a person. I think she might be having some kind of breakdown. I had to pause the recording. Emma was trying to make me sound crazy to our own mother. But why? The recording continued. I know this is hard to hear, but I think Helen might need professional help. Maybe we should look into getting her evaluated? I've been researching it, and there are some really nice facilities that specialize in this kind of thing. What? No, I don't want to abandon her. I'm thinking of her well-being. She's been through so much with the divorce and everything. The manipulation was masterful. Emma sounded concerned, loving even. If I didn't know better, I might have believed she was genuinely worried about me. I've already talked to a few places, she continued. There's this residential facility about an hour away. They have a program specifically for people who've become too attached to pets after trauma. It's only a few months and they say the success rate is really high. I know it sounds drastic, but Mom, she's not getting better on her own. The phone call went on for another 20 minutes, with Emma painting an increasingly disturbing picture of my mental state. According to her, I was withdrawing from reality, refusing to date because I was too attached to Jasper, and showing signs of paranoia and delusion. None of it was true, but it was convincing. Emma had always been good at reading people, at finding their weak spots and exploiting them. She knew exactly what to say to make our parents worry. The most chilling part came near the end. Once she's getting the help she needs, I'll take care of everything here. The house, her finances, making sure all her affairs are in order. I know it's a big responsibility, but Helen's my sister. I'd do anything for her. When the call ended, there was a moment of silence, then Emma's real voice. Perfect. Phase 1 complete. I sat in my car in the driveway for an hour after listening to that recording, trying to process what I'd heard. My sister, my own sister, was orchestrating some kind of plan to have me declared mentally incompetent. She was going to have me committed, take control of my assets and steal my life right out from under me. And it was all connected to Jasper. She'd identified my love for him as a weakness, something she could twist and use against me. That night at dinner, Emma was particularly chatty, asking about my day, telling funny stories from work, being the perfect caring sister. All while knowing she'd spent the afternoon trying to convince our mother I was losing my mind. Mom called today, she mentioned casually while we were doing dishes. She sounded worried about you. Oh? What about? Emma's face arranged itself into an expression of gentle concern. She said you seemed stressed lately. Maybe a little withdrawn? I told her I hadn't noticed anything, but you know how Mom worries. The gaslighting was already beginning. Emma was going to make me question my own perceptions, make me wonder if maybe I really was losing it. I feel fine, I said carefully. Of course you do, honey. But sometimes we're the last to notice when we're struggling, you know? Maybe it wouldn't hurt to talk to someone. I could help you find a therapist. That's thoughtful, but I really don't think I need one. Emma's smile was pure sugar. Well, just know that I'm here for you. Whatever you need. We're family. Family. The word felt bitter in my mouth now. That night, I started planning my counterattack. First, I needed to document everything. I began keeping a detailed journal of all the things Jasper revealed, cross-referencing them with Emma's behavior and my own observations. I set up multiple cameras around the house, hidden in places Emma would never think to look. I also started building a financial paper trail. I pulled my credit reports, bank statements, and investment records, looking for any signs of Emma's interference. What I found made me sick. Small charges on my credit cards, always under $20 so I wouldn't notice. Cash withdrawals from my savings account that I couldn't remember making. Online purchases shipped to addresses I didn't recognize. Emma had been stealing from me for months, maybe longer. The amounts were small enough to fly under the radar, but they added up to thousands of dollars. I called my bank and credit card companies, reporting the suspicious activity. They were helpful but needed time to investigate. In the meantime, I changed all my passwords, set up fraud alerts, and moved the bulk of my savings to a new account Emma couldn't access. The next step was protecting Jasper. If Emma was willing to have me committed to get her hands on my assets, what would she do to the bird she saw as the key to my supposed mental illness? I researched boarding facilities for parrots and found a place about 30 miles away that specialized in long-term care for exotic birds. The owner, a woman named Dr. Sarah Martinez, was a veterinarian who'd been working with parrots for over 20 years. I need somewhere safe to keep my African gray, I told her during our phone consultation. It's a complicated family situation. Dr. Martinez understood without needing details. We get that sometimes. Divorce cases, family disputes, people who need to travel for medical treatment. Jasper would be in good hands here. But I wasn't ready to send Jasper away yet. I needed more evidence of Emma's plan first. And honestly, I wasn't sure I could bear to be separated from him, even temporarily. Instead, I started preparing Jasper for what might come. I taught him new phrases, ones that would be useful if Emma tried to claim I was delusional. Helen is not crazy, I repeated to him over and over. Emma is lying. Emma is the problem. Jasper picked it up quickly, his little bird brain filing away these new concepts alongside all the secrets he'd already absorbed. A week later, Emma made her next move. I came home from work to find her in the living room with our parents. Dad looked uncomfortable, Mom was crying, and Emma was playing the role of concerned sister to perfection. Helen. Mom jumped up and hugged me tightly. We need to talk, sweetheart. Emma had called them, claimed I'd had some kind of episode that morning before work. According to her story, I'd been talking to Jasper frantically, asking him questions and getting upset when he didn't respond the way I wanted. She was crying, Emma told them, her voice thick with fake emotion. Saying things like, "You're the only one who understands me, and they're trying to take you away." It was really scary, Helen. I didn't know what to do. The story was complete fiction, but Emma sold it beautifully. She'd apparently been so concerned that she'd called in sick to work to stay home with me, then called our parents when she couldn't calm me down. Honey, Mom said gently, Emma thinks you might be going through a rough patch. Maybe dealing with some depression or anxiety. There's no shame in getting help. I looked at Emma, sitting there with her perfectly crafted expression of loving concern, and felt a rage so pure it almost made me dizzy. I'm fine, I said as calmly as I could manage. I think there's been a misunderstanding. See, Emma said to our parents. She doesn't recognize that there's a problem. That's part of the issue. Dad cleared his throat. Helen, we're worried about you. Emma says you've been isolating yourself, spending all your time with the bird instead of people. That's not healthy. Jasper is not the bird, I said, my temper starting to fray. He's an intelligent, emotional creature, whoa. Helen. Mom's voice was soft but firm. Listen to yourself. You're getting upset about us calling it a bird. That's not normal, honey. Emma had set the perfect trap. Any defense of Jasper would sound like evidence of my supposed obsession. Any emotion I showed would be twisted into proof of instability. We think you should talk to someone, Dad said. A professional. Someone who can help you work through whatever you're dealing with. And what if I refuse? The question hung in the air for a moment. Mom and Dad exchanged glances. Emma's mask slipped for just a second, and I saw a flash of triumph in her eyes. Well, Mom said slowly, we hope it doesn't come to that. But Helen, if you're not capable of making good decisions for yourself. There it was. The threat. Get help voluntarily, or they'd find a way to force it. I need to think about this, I said finally. After our parents left, Emma dropped the concerned sister act. You can't fight this, Helen, she said, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. I've been documenting your behavior for months. The way you talk to that bird, the way you prioritize it over everything else. Any psychiatrist who evaluates you is going to see exactly what I see. And what's that? Someone who's lost touch with reality. Someone who needs help. Her smile was cold. Someone who shouldn't be making her own decisions about her life or her money. That night, I made my final preparations. I packed a bag for Jasper with all his favorite toys, his special food, and detailed care instructions. I transferred the rest of my liquid assets to accounts Emma couldn't access. I made copies of all the recordings I'd gathered and stored them in a safety deposit box. Then I sat down and had a long conversation with Jasper. Tomorrow you're going to go stay with Dr. Martinez for a while, I told him. It's not forever, but I need to know you're safe while I deal with Emma. Jasper seemed to sense the gravity of the situation. He nuzzled my cheek and said in his own voice, Helen loves Jasper. Jasper loves Helen. That's right, baby. No matter what happens, remember that. The next morning, while Emma was at work, I drove Jasper to Dr. Martinez's facility. It was beautiful, spacious enclosures, plenty of enrichment activities, and other parrots for socialization. But leaving him there was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. He'll be fine, Dr. Martinez assured me, and he'll be here whenever you're ready to bring him home. That afternoon, I got a call from Emma. Where's the bird? Her voice was sharp with anger. Jasper is somewhere safe. Helen, bring him home right now. Mom and Dad are coming over tonight to talk to you again, and if they don't see you interacting normally with people instead of that bird, instead of what, Emma? You'll have me committed? Take control of my finances? Steal my house? Silence. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Just like you don't know about the credit card charges, or the cash withdrawals, or the phone calls to Mom trying to convince her I'm crazy. More silence. Then, you're paranoid, Helen. This is exactly the kind of thing I've been worried about. I have recordings, Emma. Video evidence. Financial records. Everything. I could practically hear her calculating on the other end of the line. Nobody's going to believe you, she said finally. You're the one who talks to birds and thinks they talk back. I'm the concerned sister trying to help. Who do you think looks more credible? She had a point. Emma had always been the charismatic one. The one people naturally trusted and liked. I was the quiet, introverted one who'd rather stay home with a book than go to parties. But I had something Emma didn't expect. Jasper's testimony. That evening, our parents came over as planned. Emma had prepared them for the possibility that I might have hidden the bird to avoid facing reality about my unhealthy attachment. They sat me down in the living room, and Mom started in with a gentle speech about intervention and loving support. Dad looked uncomfortable but determined. Emma sat there looking appropriately worried. Before we go any further, I said, I want you to hear something. I pulled out my phone and played the recording from the day before. Emma's real voice, cold and calculating, telling me exactly what she was planning. You can't fight this, Helen. I've been documenting your behavior for months. The blood drained from Emma's face. Mom gasped. Dad sat up straighter, his expression shifting from concern to confusion. That's taken out of context, Emma stammered. Helen recorded me without my knowledge, probably edited it to make me sound I played another clip. Emma talking to our mother, painting me as mentally unstable while positioning herself as my devoted caretaker. Then another. Emma on the phone with someone. I'd never figured out who, discussing the best way to convince a court that someone was incompetent to handle their own affairs. My God, Mom whispered. Emma, what is this? Emma's composure was cracking. Helen is sick. She's manipulating all of you. Can't you see? She's making me sound like the villain because she doesn't want to face the truth about her condition. What condition? Dad's voice was sharp now. Emma, I've been watching Helen tonight. She seems perfectly rational to me. She's always been good at hiding it around you guys, Emma said desperately. But I live with her. I see how she really is. That's when I played my ace in the hole. I'd brought a portable speaker with me connected to my laptop. What I played next was a compilation of Jasper's greatest hits, all in Emma's voice, all revealing her true thoughts about me, about our family, about her plans. Helen is such a loser. 35 and talking to a bird like it's her boyfriend. Pathetic. Helen thinks I actually care about her, but I'm just using her until I figure out my next move. Sometimes I think about what would happen if something happened to that precious bird of hers. She'd probably have a complete breakdown. The room was dead silent except for the sound of Emma's own voice condemning her. How? Mom asked, her voice barely above a whisper. African Greys are incredibly intelligent, I explained. They don't just mimic sounds, they understand context. They remember conversations and they repeat what they've heard when it's relevant. Jasper has been listening to Emma's phone calls, her private conversations, everything she said in this house for the past 18 months. Emma was shaking now, her carefully constructed facade completely destroyed. A bird can't testify in court. No one will believe. Maybe not in court, I said. But they'll believe the financial records showing you've been stealing from me. They'll believe the video evidence of you going through my personal papers. They'll believe the bank records showing cash withdrawals I never made. I turned to our parents. Emma has been systematically stealing from me while building a case to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could take control of my assets. She was using my love for Jasper as evidence of my supposed mental illness, planning to have me committed to a residential facility while she took over my life. Dad's face was red with anger. Is this true, Emma? Emma looked trapped, desperate. For a moment, I thought she might try to continue the charade. Then something in her seemed to break. She has everything, Emma said, her voice ugly with resentment. The house, the savings, the successful business. What do I have? I'm 28 years old with no money, no career, no future. Helen got the divorce settlement, the inheritance from Grandma Rose, everything. It's not fair. So you decided to steal it? Mom asked, her voice horrified. I decided to take what should have been mine anyway. Helen's always been Dad's favorite, even if he won't admit it. She got the college fund, the help with the down payment on this house, the recommendations for jobs. What did I get? Nothing. The old family dynamics were showing through now. Emma had always been jealous of what she perceived as preferential treatment, even though from my perspective, she'd been the golden child who could do no wrong. That doesn't give you the right to steal from your sister, Dad said. Or to try to have her committed to a mental institution. She is crazy. Emma shouted. Look at her. She's 35 years old and her best friend is a bird. She talks to it like it's a person. That's not normal. Having a beloved pet isn't mental illness, Mom said quietly. And even if Helen was struggling with something, what you did. Emma, you were going to destroy your sister's life for money. The confrontation went on for another hour. Emma alternated between trying to justify her actions and attempting to shift blame back to me. But the evidence was overwhelming and our parents had heard enough. You need to move out, Dad told Emma. Tonight. Where am I supposed to go? That's not Helen's problem anymore, Mom said. You've abused her generosity, stolen her money, and tried to ruin her life. You're lucky she's not pressing charges. Actually, I was still considering pressing charges. But I wanted Emma out of my house first. Emma packed her things in sullen silence while Dad supervised and Mom helped me change the locks. By midnight, she was gone, and my house felt like mine again for the first time in 18 months. The next morning, I drove out to Dr. Martinez's facility to bring Jasper home. He was thrilled to see me. Dancing on his perch and squawking, Helen, 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 at the top of his lungs. How did it go? Dr. Martinez asked. Jasper saved my life, I told her. On the drive home, I filled Jasper in on everything that had happened. He listened intently, occasionally interjecting with comments like, bad Emma, and Emma go away. That's right, baby. Emma's gone and she's not coming back. Good, he said firmly. Jasper, protect Helen. I had to pull over because I was crying too hard to see the road. Over the next few weeks, I worked on putting my life back together. I pressed charges against Emma for theft and fraud. The police were very interested in the recordings and financial evidence I'd gathered. I got my credit straightened out, changed all my passwords and security codes, and had a security system installed in the house. Emma tried calling a few times, alternating between angry voicemails blaming me for ruining her life and tearful messages begging for forgiveness. I saved them all as evidence, but I never called her back. The legal proceedings took months, but eventually Emma pled guilty to multiple charges of theft and fraud. She was sentenced to community service, probation, and restitution. She had to pay back every penny she'd stolen, plus interest and penalties. More importantly, she had to stay away from me. The restraining order was just a piece of paper, but it made me feel safer. My relationship with my parents took longer to repair. They were horrified by what Emma had done, but they were also struggling with guilt over their role in it. They'd been ready to believe I was mentally ill without really investigating the situation. They'd taken Emma's word over mine, their adult daughter who'd never given them reason to doubt her stability. We should have known, Mom said during one of our difficult conversations. Emma's always been manipulative, but we never thought she'd go this far. We failed you, Dad added. We were so focused on trying to help what we thought was a sick daughter that we didn't protect you from the one who was actually dangerous. It took time, but we worked through it. Family therapy helped. And gradually they came to understand and appreciate the special bond one had with Jasper. He really did save you, Mom marveled, watching Jasper show off his vocabulary during one of their visits. If he hadn't been listening and repeating Emma's conversations. I know, I said, scratching Jasper's head while he preened. Pretty smart for just a bird, right? Jasper looked at her with what I swear was smugness. Very smart bird, he said clearly. Very, very smart. 6 months after Emma moved out, I got a call from Marcus, her ex-boyfriend. Emma had tried to run the same scam on him, claiming he was having mental health issues while systematically draining his bank accounts. But Marcus remembered what had happened with me and was suspicious when Emma suggested he get help. I wanted to thank you, he said. When I heard about what she did to you, it helped me see what was happening to me. I might have lost everything if I hadn't known to look for the signs. Emma had moved on to targeting other vulnerable people, but word was getting around. Her pattern was becoming known in our small town, and people were wise to her tricks. A year later, I heard she'd moved to a different state. I hoped she'd learned her lesson and was trying to build an honest life, but I wasn't holding my breath. Some people are just wired to take advantage of others. As for me, I was thriving. My business was doing better than ever. I'd started dating again, a nice veterinarian I met through Dr. Martinez, and I bought a bigger house with a beautiful sunroom perfect for Jasper. Just the two of you, people would sometimes ask when they heard about the house. Me and Jasper, I'd confirm. We're family. And if anyone tried to suggest that was weird or unhealthy, well, Jasper had learned some new phrases over the past year. He was particularly good at telling people exactly what he thought of their opinions. Mind your own business, he'd say in perfect English, head tilted at that imperious angle. Helen and Jasper are fine. He was right. We were more than fine. We were exactly where we belonged. Some evenings, when we were sitting together in the sunroom watching the sunset, I'd think about how different things might have been if Jasper had really been just a bird.